Once again, it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome, everyone, to episode 36 of the Tristain Sports Show. Toss, it is, in fact, your main man, T-Squared, Tristan Thomas. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us. So happy you are here. And let's not waste any time. We have to jump right into state of the state. And let's start off with the Brewers. Your second place Milwaukee Brewers currently 65-50, 1.5 games behind the Chicago Cubs for first place in the NL Central, and they also have a wild card lead for their first wild card spot. So they are in prime position for a postseason spot. You would love to have them win the division. That way they are not in that one-game wild card playoff. But hey, when you're looking for the postseason, you take it how you can get it, and you just go in and you win. Win. That's the name of the game. There have been a couple more moves since we last spoke here on Toss with the Brewers. David Stearns was not done. Trading deadline came around, and I know last time we were on the air, it was minutes away from that deadline coming up on everybody, it being done. Then you have to do things through the waiver trade deadline, which is still a few weeks away. David Stearns did not get the pitcher that he wanted. We mentioned Chris Archer, whose name had been attached with the Brewers since about spring training. He ends up going to Pittsburgh. The Pirates have been playing some really good baseball, folks. They have been playing some really good baseball. The Brewers know it because they got swept in 5 games, but I digress. So he goes there. Hey, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with down the stretch. You're going to have to watch them. They're going to be very, very dangerous. But back to the Brewers. David Stearns pulls the trigger, sends Jonathan Villar to Baltimore for Jonathan Scope. Hitting in the 230s, has 17 home runs, has 40-plus RBI. He's a guy that is feast or famine. He's either going to hit it over the fence for you, drive in a few runs, or he's going to strike out time and time again. But feeling the need that this lineup needed more thump in it. Because we spoke about the shutouts before. Ad nauseum. They've been shut out more times this season than they have been all of last year. And the season's not even done yet. So they need more thump in the lineup. He went out and get Moustakas. Now he gets Scope. You're putting that thump in the lineup. Eventually he's going to have to start hitting. I mean, before he got traded, he was kind of on a really good stretch with the Orioles. I think he was batting something over 400, had 19 hits over his last 20-plus games. He was pretty hot. He comes to the Brewers. He's been scuffling a bit. He's gotten a couple of hits, but nothing of significance to speak of. He's been more maddening than anything. I've seen him strike out more than I've seen him get a hit. So he's going to have to start hitting if he's going to remain in this lineup. Now, we mentioned the normal trading deadline was done. But the waiver trade deadline, again, just a few weeks away. David Stearns gets active on that. He picks up Jordan Lyles off of waivers from the San Diego Padres. Now, Lyles is a guy, you look at his numbers, he's 30-52 lifetime, 5.32 ERA lifetime, but he's a 27-year-old guy. He still has time to learn and to grow. And you hope that is the case. Now, my question is, when you pick up a guy like that, and I believe he was 2-4 with an ERA over 4 this season with San Diego. And again, that's a very tough situation out in San Diego. But again, it's a bit of a pitcher's park. Even though they moved the fences in, it's still a bit of a pitcher's park. He struggled. And we said the same thing about Yoli Shashin. He was a guy in San Diego last year. Went 13-10, 13-11. But Shashin has arguably been the Brewers' best pitcher all year. So what does Stearns see in this guy? He's got decent movement on his pitches. I know that, but a lifetime 30-52 record, a lifetime 5.32 ERA. Again, you look at those numbers and you're wondering, I mean, and then go to Jonathan Scope's numbers. Just this season. A guy batting in the 240s, 230s, 17 home runs, 40 RBI. And you look at those numbers and you just ask yourself, what does Stearns see in these guys? And your confidence kind of wavers just a tad bit. Now, I'm not saying my confidence is, and I'm just speaking of the normal person just looking at it strictly for numbers. My confidence has not waned in David Stearns one iota. Every button he's pressed has seemed to work. He's very forward thinking, as is Craig Counsell. I think that's why those two work so well together. It's why the team continues to work so well together. They bring a lot of analytics and sabermetrics into the things, and it works out more times than not. Like any other baseball team, yeah, you're going to struggle. You're going to have your stretches where you scuffle. Brewers had a 7-game losing streak. But they've also had a multitude of winning streaks, and they've won more series than they lost. That's why they're currently sitting 15 games above 500. That's why you're 1.5 games back for the division lead. That's why you lead the top wild card spot. They're doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. Sometimes they're a little bit inconsistent, but they're still doing it. But again, you look at those numbers for those guys. As a casual fan, you're wondering, what the hell is David Stearns doing? Why is he going to pick up a guy who's 22 games under 500 for his career? A guy who has an ERA over 5 for his career. A guy in Jonathan Scope who can hit the ball over the fence for you, but the problem is he can barely put bat to ball. What are you doing? It takes moves like Stearns is making and continues to make to build a championship team. Stearns was a big integral part in what the Houston Astros are today. People forget he was the assistant GM down there. They went and they picked up guys that you never thought would be stars. I mean, you got a guy, Jose Altuve, little guy. What is he going to do? Oh, he only goes out there and hits well over 330. He goes out there and wins an AL MVP, has some pop in his bat. It takes moves like that most people who look at it just for face value don't understand that builds a championship team. And that's what it's going to take for the Brewers to win a championship. They're going to have to get contributions from guys that most people on the outside don't expect to get contributions from. So while these moves may leave you scratching your head a bit, these moves are very much, and you don't want to put it on them already, but there may be championship moves. So we're going to keep an eye on these guys, and we're going to keep an eye on this team. Again, 65-50 as we currently record this program. 1.5 games back of the Chicago Cubs for first place in the National League Central. They have the lead for the top wild card spot. Brewers are in prime position to do something special in the postseason, but they're going to have to get some guys going. Scope's got to get going. Another guy that needs to get going, and I think the rest of the league has really finally figured out, Jesus Aguilar. Teams are starting to bust him outside, hit him with that breaking ball low, and he just simply can't catch up with it. He's going to have to make adjustments. Going to need his big bat coming down the stretch and in postseason if you do qualify. So again, Brewers in prime position. Stearns is making moves. But some guys have got to wake up. It's the stretch run. You're in August. September will be here before you know it. It's get to be crunch time. You got 40-plus games remaining. A lot of games at home, a few on the road. It's a home-heavy schedule. You got more days off. I believe they have something like 8 days off between now and the end of the regular season. So that long stretch where they were just playing every single day is over. You got some time off here and there in between series. It's time to make hay. If you're going to make a move for postseason, now's the time. The Brewers are in prime position to do so. Let's move on State of the State to Green Bay, Wisconsin, to talk about the Green Bay Packers. Family night was this past Saturday. It was a success. Completely sold out. About 75,000, 76,000 people there. It's a wonderful atmosphere. If you have the chance to go to family night, please do so. It is for a great cause as well. It's a practice, and it's sold out like it's game day. It's just a wonderful environment, family friendly. Everybody can enjoy it. But You did not come out of family night unscathed. Again, it is a practice. David Bakhtiari goes down with an ankle injury, and when he went down and he got carted off, you thought, oh, man, here we go again. Here we go again with this offensive line getting dinged up. Oh, my goodness, what are we going to do? Now, luckily, it's been a few days since that. You found out that it's an ankle sprain, which is the best possible news you could get for Bakhtiari, who is paramount on that offensive line. You lose him, you're going to have to depend on the guys of like Spriggs, who hasn't really proven himself, and others who haven't really proven themselves. So you need Bakhtiari on that line. You definitely do. So sprained ankle, I don't think I've been so happy about a sprained ankle ever. You need continuity on this offensive line, and Bakhtiari brings that. Brings that leadership. He brings that nastiness. He brings that continuity. So that's the best possible news you can get. Just today in practice, or should I say, this guy didn't practice, Jimmy Graham. He currently has an undisclosed injury as we record this program. Only a select few know why he did not practice. I am not inside to know currently what that is. I will work to find out. But it's an undisclosed injury. You hope it's something that isn't going to be a bit more serious. He did not practice today. You got a host of other guys. Mike Daniels still dealing with that quad injury. Aaron Jones still dealing with that hamstring. You got a host of guys dealing with quads and hamstrings, which is relatively normal for this time of year. Practices usually are hot, humid. It's kind of easier to kind of pull something. You're getting back into full out sprints and football activities when you've just been running on treadmills and things of that nature in the off season, keeping yourself in shape. Well, there's a difference between shape and football shape, and you're getting yourself back into game shape and football shape. And that's a completely different thing when you're putting the pads on and the cleats on and you're making moves that you wouldn't normally make in your training sessions. But it is concerning because those things tend to linger. They tend to linger, and you don't want them to turn into a tear, which then puts you on the shelf for even longer. But that Jimmy Graham injury, we're going to have to keep an eye on that because I have no idea what it is currently. I am working to find out. As soon as I do, I will let you guys know on my various social medias at the20double on Twitter. Toss Facebook page, facebook.com/T on Sports Show. I'll let you know as soon as I do. But currently, it's an undisclosed injury. Only a select few know. So hopefully that he comes okay with that. But besides the injuries, which come along with training camp, you have a player, maybe two, that come up and shock you. Absolutely shock you. This year, wide receiver Jake Kumerow out of UW-Whitewater. He has been turning heads, much like Blake Martinez was turning heads with his grasp of the playbook and his results on the field. Jake Kumerow's doing the same thing. He's earning Aaron Rodgers' trust. Aaron Rodgers just thinks that the team should spotlight him. Let him go out there in actual game action because he has not played a game in his 3-year career. He's been in the NFL for 3 years. He was on the practice squad for various teams, but he has not played in the NFL game yet. That's going to be a big test for him. It's one thing to do it in a scrimmage. It's one thing to do it in training camp and in practice. It's a completely different thing to do in game action. And he'll see some game action, I'm pretty sure, barring injury, on Thursday in their first preseason game. But he's earning trust. I mean, even more so than the rookies that were drafted. He has really outshined them to this point. Again, the big test for him is going to be in game action. But wouldn't that be something if he steps up, somebody that you just never expected? A guy who I thought would definitely step up was Geronimo Allison. He's been, he's been there. But Kumerow has been the one that has really turned heads. He's really been the guy that everybody's watching. So I'm excited to see him in game action. I'm excited to see this team in game action, to see some of the things that they'll work on. Maybe we could pick up on some trends. I know this defense, Pettin is very happy with the way this defense is coming along despite all of the defensive injuries. Bryce is still out. Again, you had that big blow with Jake Ryan tearing his ACL. Guys are going to have to step up. But it's really going to be exciting to see really this new offense with Joe Philbin back as the offensive coordinator, Mike Pettin as the defensive coordinator. So it's a really new defense I'm excited to see kind of the pieces of what they're thinking about doing in the regular season. Obviously, you're not going to see everything. I think they're going to be, for the most part, pretty vanilla. I think the third preseason game, which is usually the real dress rehearsal, is where you're going to see them call some things that you may see in regular action. But I think the first preseason game, they're going to be working on base things, base offense, base defense. But I'm really excited to really observe that in real game action as opposed to scrimmaging. Because I think myself and a lot of the guys have had enough of seeing the scrimmage. We want to see some real live action to see how this looks on the field against other competition. And we'll get that chance on Thursday night. So that's the state of the state. The Brewers are in prime position for a postseason run. David Stearns continues to be a player on the trade deadline and the trade waivers and acquisitions of players, constantly trying to make this team better, getting them the pieces they need to be a deep playoff team, which is what he and Craig Counsell both said that this team wants to be and is working towards being. They're in prime position, 65-50, 1.5 games out of NL Central. And the Green Bay Packers, they are dealing with injury, but there's progression being made. They'll have their first preseason game on Thursday night. I'm excited to see what this thing is going to look like, base or not. I'm excited to see real live competition for the most part. Real thing starts next month. Coming up on Toss, we have to run the Toss sweep, and we got to talk about why in the hell the NCAA has suspended 13 North Carolina players, football players, over shoes. That's coming up next on the Toss sweep. We'll be right back. TossNationMedia.com is your home for the Toss brand of sports. That's the Tristain on Sports Show, Toss, the very program you're listening to now. That's the Squared Logic, the blog, my readathon there, and also soon Tossed Up, which you can see on YouTube. Just look for Tristain Thomas. All that and more only on TossNationMedia.com. Welcome back to Toss, everyone. It's your main man, T-Squared, Tristain Thomas, and it's time for us to run the Toss sweep. The NCAA has come out and said they've suspended 13 University of North Carolina football players for a secondary infraction or violation, whichever one you want to call it, of NCAA rules because they sold limited edition sneakers they were given by the school's apparel maker, Jumpman, Jordan Brand. Now, people are still speculating as to what sneakers were sold. A lot of people tend to think it is the threes that you see a picture all around. What Jumpman does is they stitch the numbers inside of those shoes. So if those shoes do, in fact, end up being sold, they know who did it because their number is stitched on the inside. So it's kind of a check and balance type deal. Because Jumpman does know NCAA rules and they know that certain things can't be done, including selling shoes. I'm still at a loss for words over this because this has got to be the dumbest mess I've probably heard in a long time. I mean, just get a load of what this rule states. And I'm going to read the bylaw for you. And this is bylaw 191.3. It's a level 3 secondary violation as a breach of conduct. Defines as follows. A breach of conduct is one or more violations that are isolated or limited in nature, provide no more than a minimal recruiting, competitive or other advantage, and provide no more than a minimal impermissible benefit. Among other examples, the following may constitute a breach of conduct. A, inadvertent violations that are isolated or limited in nature, or B, extra benefit, financial aid, academic eligibility, and recruiting violations provided they do not create more than minimal advantages. How does selling shoes create a competitive advantage? How is that an extra benefit? I guess the selling of the shoe is an extra benefit from outside. I guess that's the part where they get caught up. But if you just read that and you don't truly understand it, you ask yourself, what the hell is the violation? Where does it say you can't resell shoes? I mean, I don't get it either. I just don't get it. I have no idea. No clue. But it's a damn shame when you can make more reselling shoes than you can playing in the NCAA. People are going to argue, hey, they get an education, $100,000, room and board, food, all this and that. That's fine, but can you feed your family with that? No. This is the reason why you see so many one and dones in NCAA basketball. Can't do it in football because the NFL has a rule. You have to be 3 years removed from high school. But it's the reason why you see guys making the decisions they do. It's financial reasons. Their families need taken care of. They come from some of the worst areas in America. The danger of them being killed and maimed and everything else is very, very real. Now, you can have your opinion one way or the other with it. That's fine. But it doesn't make reality disappear. The NCAA makes billions with a B off of the grit, determination, blood, sweat, and tears of these young kids. They do. And people are going to argue, oh, well, they entered into a contract. They knew what they were getting into. Sure. That much is true. But just because that is true does not make your rules correct, does not make them fair, does not make them right. I've had numerous debates about this, including with Dennis Krause, Hall of Fame sportscaster, one of my mentors. We will never see eye to eye on that, ever. We will never see eye to eye on players being paid. And I even say, look, I'm all for a stipend. I'm not saying go and sign these guys to $100,000 a year contracts or something like that. Give them a stipend so you don't have things like this, or change the rules. I don't see what's wrong with the person who gets popular in college football going to make a name off of their fame. They're the one that put the hard work into it. They're the ones who are getting the results out of it. So why shouldn't they be paid handsomely for it? Why shouldn't they gain something for it? I will never understand why the rules are why they are. I mean, the fact that you still think it's amateurism is just astounding. It's astounding. So either change the rule or start paying these kids. That's the only way you're going to get around this. This is the only way this thing is going to be solved. But again, I'll tell you again, you make billions of dollars off these kids. Don't tell me there's no way that you can't find a way to at least give them a stipend. You make billions of dollars off of these kids, but yet you suspend them and you give them nothing when they want to go out, be entrepreneurial, and make some money for themselves outside of your entity. It's hypocrisy at its best, or in this case, at its worst. This is Toss. All right, y'all, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This was episode 36 of the Tristain Sports Show Toss. Again, thank y'all for rocking with me each and every single week. What up, India? I see y'all. I see y'all in the DMs. I hear y'all. What's up to y'all? Hey, TossNationMedia.com. That's where you can get the best of the Tristain Sports Show brand, the Toss brand of sports. Again, TossNationMedia.com. You know the Twitter, but I'll give it to you again at the20double, at the20double. And again, you can catch myself and Professor Pete on the Home Court Sports Show Wednesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live. Go to facebook.com/Home Court Sports. But as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is T-Squared, Tristain Thomas, reminding all of you that I'm the one and only. And so are you. Embrace it. Until next week. So long from Toss.